Bismillah, wasulillah, wasulah, wasulullah, wasulah, wasulah, wasulamu ala rasulullah, salamu ala rasulullah, salamu ala rasuluh, wasulamu ala rasulamu. What if holding on is actually blocking your raska, your peace, and your closeness to Allah? You are afraid to let go, but what if not letting go is costing you something greater? My brothers and sisters, don't miss this moment, because sometimes the longer you hold on, the more you delay Allah's best for you. Allah tells us in the Quran that perhaps you love something and it is bad for you, and perhaps you dislike something and it is good for you. This is not just a verse we recite. It is a reality we live. When we refuse to let go of what Allah has removed, we struggle against His wisdom. And that struggle brings pain, confusion, and distance from Him. This message matters because your peace is at stake, your iman is being tested, your future depends on your trust in Allah. One of the hardest things we face in life is holding on to people or situations that Allah has already removed from our lives. We replay memories, check old messages, and revisit moments over and over, hoping for something that will never return. Every time you do this, you are resisting Allah's decree, and that resistance weighs heavily on your qalbim. It is not just the loss itself that hurts, it is the refusal to accept the wisdom behind it. The longer you hold on, the more it affects your daily life. Your mind becomes restless, your focus in ibadah weakens, and your emotions feel constantly unstable. Even when you pray, your heart is distracted, thinking more about what is gone than about Allah who is always near. This is why holding on can slowly create a silent burden, one that impacts your peace, your energy, and your connection with the Creator. The reality is that holding on does not bring the person back, and it does not change Allah's plan. It only keeps you trapped between the past and the future that Allah has already written for you. Imagine carrying a heavy bag on a long journey when Allah has told you it is time to put it down. Every step becomes more difficult, every breath heavier, and yet you continue to drag it along, believing that holding on is the only option. Accepting that Allah has removed someone or something from your life is not about weakness or giving up. It is about recognizing the wisdom of Allah's decree and surrendering to it. Every loss has a purpose, every ending carries a lesson, and every closure opens space for something greater that Allah has prepared for you. Start small. Each time thoughts of them arise, gently remind yourself, Qadarallahu wa ma sha'a fa'al. Let these words become a shield for your heart, a reminder that Allah's wisdom is perfect even when it is unseen. Replace overthinking with dhikr, longing with dua, and detachment with tawakkul. Make a conscious effort to redirect your mind toward Allah's mercy, His plans, and His promises. Allow yourself to feel the loss without clinging to it, and know that true strength lies in surrender. When you finally release what Allah has taken away, you are not losing anything. Instead, you are making room for peace, for barakah, and for the blessings that He has already written for you. In that moment of letting go, you will begin to experience the serenity, trust, and closeness to Allah that you have been searching for all along. Sometimes the struggle to let go comes not only from loss, but from the realization that your heart has become more attached to people than to Allah. You begin to rely on their presence for comfort, their words for reassurance, and their attention for your sense of self-worth. This attachment is subtle at first, it feels natural, even necessary, but over time it slowly pulls your heart away from the one who should be your ultimate source of peace. When someone becomes more central than Allah in your life, your heart experiences a quiet imbalance. Your emotions fluctuate depending on their actions. Your happiness feels tied to their presence, and your connection with Allah is weakened without you realizing it. This is why attachment to creation can be far more damaging than the absence of the person themselves. This reliance affects more than your emotions. It reaches into your daily life and worship. You may pray, fast, or make dua, but your heart is divided. Thoughts of the person linger during moments of ibadah, and your energy is spent chasing what is temporary instead of focusing on the eternal. You feel restless in solitude because your heart has not yet learned to find contentment in Allah alone. The more you depend on people for your inner peace, the more unstable you feel when they leave, disappoint, or change. This is why many of us experience persistent anxiety, sadness, or emptiness despite the outward routines of worship. Our hearts are caught between attachment to creation and the call of the Creator. Allah, in His infinite wisdom and mercy, sometimes removes people from our lives not as a punishment, but as a means to return our hearts to Him. When someone leaves, it is an opportunity to shift your focus, realign your intentions, and rebuild your reliance on Allah. Your comfort, your joy, and your sense of worth should ultimately come from Him, not from what is fleeting in this world. Start small. Replace moments of longing with dhikr. Turn your thoughts toward dua and actively remind yourself that Allah is your closest companion. When you feel the urge to seek validation or reassurance from others, redirect that energy to strengthening your relationship with your Lord. Over time, this intentional practice transforms your heart. You begin to realize that the peace you sought in others was always meant to be found in Allah, and that true reliance on Him makes you strong, content, and truly free. Once your heart is anchored in Allah, no absence or change in the world can shake your inner tranquility. One of the deepest struggles we face when letting go is the fear of being alone. It is not always about the person or situation itself, but about the emptiness we imagine will follow when they are no longer in our lives. We worry about quiet moments without messages, days without companionship, and a future that feels uncertain or incomplete. This fear can be so strong that we cling to what is harmful or limiting, convincing ourselves that staying, even in discomfort, is better than facing solitude. We tolerate situations that disturb our peace, hold on to relationships that disturb our peace, hold on to relationships that may be toxic, and ignore the quiet signs from Allah, all because being alone seems unbearable. Yet this fear of solitude blinds us to the truth. Being alone with Allah is never truly loneliness. The problem is not the absence of people, but the absence of a strong conscious connection with Allah. When our hearts are dependent on others for comfort and validation, we feel incomplete without them. But when we turn our focus to Allah, solitude transforms into peace. Allah sometimes removes people from our lives to give our hearts room to breathe, to heal, and to grow closer to Him. What may feel like abandonment is actually mercy, a chance to build strength, clarity, and contentment in ways that were impossible while clinging to what distracted us. It is in these moments of intentional solitude that our hearts learn reliance on the One who is always present, the One whose love and guidance never waver. Fear of being alone so blocks growth. When we remain surrounded by people who do not benefit our deen or character, we limit opportunities for reflection, self-improvement, and spiritual development. True growth requires moments of stillness, moments to evaluate our life honestly and align ourselves with what Allah wants for us. These are moments when we reflect on our priorities, recognize patterns in our relationships, and prepare ourselves for what is best. Without these pauses, we remain trapped in cycles of dependence, repeating the same mistakes and wondering why change seems impossible. To overcome this fear, we must actively embrace solitude as an opportunity rather than a punishment. Begin with small, intentional steps. Spend quiet moments with the Quran, make dhikr your companion, and speak openly to Allah about your fears and hopes. Let each moment alone become a space to strengthen your connection with Him. With time, the emptiness will transform into a peaceful presence. Your heart will find contentment in reliance on Allah, and you will understand that being alone is not a loss, but a gift that prepares you for the blessings and barakah Allah has in store. When Allah is your companion, no absence can make you feel incomplete, and no change can disturb the serenity He provides. One of the most challenging barriers to letting go is the fear that what you have lost was the best you could ever have. Deep inside, your heart whispers, "This was my only chance at happiness, or nothing else will compare." Even if you do not say it aloud, this quiet doubt can dominate your thoughts and emotions. It shakes your trust in Allah and makes it difficult to embrace His wisdom. When you hold on to the belief that the past was the peak of your life, it clouds your vision for what the future may hold. Instead of moving forward with hope and faith, you remain emotionally stuck in what is gone, constantly comparing new experiences or opportunities to what you have lost, forgetting that Allah's plans are far greater than our own expectations. This fear has profound effects on your daily life. It can create anxiety, sadness, and hesitation in decision making. You may avoid new opportunities, fearing disappointment or loss. You may also find yourself emotionally dependent on memories of the past, replaying them endlessly instead of focusing on building a better present. Even your worship and connection with Allah may be affected because your heart is distracted by longing, regret, or what ifs. This emotional state weakens your tawakkul, your reliance on Allah, and prevents you from truly opening yourself to the blessings He has already prepared for you. The Quran reminds us that Allah is Al-Kareem, the most generous, and Al-Wahhab, the bestower. What He takes away from us is never random, and what He promises is always better, even if we cannot see it immediately. Sometimes He removes people, opportunities, or comforts not as punishment, but as protection. What we believed was the best may not have been in our ultimate interest, and His wisdom guides us towards something far more suitable for our growth, peace, and akhirah. When we begin to trust in this, we start to see that letting go is not loss, but a step toward what Allah has destined. To overcome this fear, it is crucial to reflect on the times when you thought you had lost something important, only for Allah to replace it with something better. Remembering these moments strengthens your faith and builds confidence in Allah's timing. Speak to yourself with words of reassurance, reminding your heart, Allah is preparing something greater for me. Turn your longing into dua, asking Allah to guide you to what benefits your deen, dunya and akhirah. Over time, your heart will learn to trust Him full. Releasing attachment to what is gone and embracing hope in what is yet to come. This trust transforms fear into peace and uncertainty into confidence, allowing you to step forward with faith, knowing that Allah's plan is always more beautiful than what you leave behind. There are moments in life when Allah has already given you signs, but your heart chooses to ignore them. You may have felt unease, discomfort, or a sense that something wasn't right, yet you convinced yourself to stay, hoping that things would improve or that your feelings were wrong. Perhaps you even prayed istikhara and felt distance instead of clarity, or noticed repeated patterns that went against your peace or your deen, but you continued clinging to what was familiar. Ignoring these signs may seem harmless at first, but in reality, it prolongs your pain and delays the healing Allah has intended for you. The discomfort you feel is not meaningless. It is guidance, a quiet signal from Allah meant to redirect you before greater harm occurs. Holding on despite clear signs affects your daily life and emotional well-being more than you realize. It creates confusion, overthinking, and constant internal conflict. Your heart feels torn between desire and obedience, and your energy is spent justifying decisions that you already know are not in your best interest. Even when you try to focus on worship or productive work, your mind drifts back to the situation, replaying events and asking, what if? This emotional and mental drain can affect your health, your productivity, and most importantly, your relationship with Allah. The longer you resist what Allah has revealed through these signs, the heavier the burden becomes and the harder it is to find peace. Allah's guidance, however, is never harsh or unfair. He provides these signs out of mercy, even if we fail to see it immediately. The quiet unease, the red flags, the subtle nudges, all are opportunities for us to choose the path that aligns with His wisdom. Acceptance of these signs requires courage because it may go against what your heart desires. Yet when you respond to clarity with action, you protect your heart, preserve your amin, and open the door for the blessings Allah has prepared for you. Recognizing and acting upon these signals shows trust in Allah's wisdom and strengthens your connection with Him. To move forward, start by reflecting honestly on the signs that were presented to you. Identify moments when your instincts, your prayers, or repeated experiences pointed toward the truth. Use these reflections to guide your decisions moving forward, making it a habit to respond promptly to clarity rather than delaying obedience. Over time, you will notice a shift. The anxiety and confusion will fade, replaced by a sense of peace and confidence in Allah's plan. What once seemed like abandonment will reveal itself as guidance, and you will understand that Allah was steering you towards something better all along, ensuring that your heart remains protected and your path aligned with His wisdom. Letting go is one of the most challenging acts a believer can face, not because it is weakness, but because it requires turning away from what feels familiar and choosing Allah above all else. Many of us see letting go as loss, as if walking away means giving up something valuable or missing out on happiness. Our emotions resist it, whispering that we are sacrificing more than we can afford. Yet in reality, letting go for the sake of Allah is not loss at all. It is an act of worship. When we release what Allah has removed from our lives, we are not abandoning hope or love. We are submitting to His wisdom, trusting that His plan is far greater than anything our hearts can imagine. Every step toward letting go is a step toward purification, a strengthening of Tawakkul, and an affirmation that Allah alone is our ultimate source of peace. Holding on to what no longer serves your heart or deen can quietly drain your energy, distort your emotions, and pull you away from Allah. Your mind may constantly replay memories or scenarios, and your heart may ache with attachment. But when you choose to let go intentionally and with the intention of pleasing Allah, your heart begins to realign with what truly matters. You are no longer relying on the temporary for comfort, but placing your trust in the eternal. This act transforms emotional pain into spiritual growth, turning what could have been despair into an opportunity for closeness with your Creator. Practical steps can make this process more tangible. Begin by renewing your intention frequently, reminding yourself that your release is for Allah's sake. Each time emotions rise, turn them into dua, asking Allah to replace what you leave behind with goodness that benefits your deen and akhirah. Engage in dhikr consistently, reflecting on the names of Allah that bring comfort, such as Al-Wadud, the most loving, and Ar-Razak, the provider. Surround yourself with reminders of Allah's mercy through Quran, beneficial lectures, and righteous company. Allow your worship to be the anchor during moments of struggle, and your heart will gradually learn to trust His wisdom fully. As you continue this journey, the pain of letting go will soften, and your heart will feel lighter. The spaces once occupied by attachment will gradually fill with barakah, contentment, and reliance on Allah. You will find that the peace and closeness to Allah gained through this act far surpass any temporary comfort you once sought elsewhere. In letting go, you are not stepping away from life, you are stepping closer to Allah, and in His embrace you will discover a serenity, guidance, and reward that no person or circumstance could ever replace. My dear brothers and sisters, life is a journey of tests, and not every person you meet is meant to stay until the end. Some are lessons, some are antishan, and some are removed so that you can grow closer to Allah. Let them go with dignity and trust that Allah's plan is always perfect. My beloved brothers and sisters, don't become so attached to the temporary that you forget the one who is eternal. If Allah has taken something away from you, smile and say Alhamdulillah, because He is preparing you for something greater. Trust Him, be patient, and you will see. What is written for you will always find its way to you.